This is review, and this is going to be the parts over chapter 1 and chapter 2, so the first 2 pages of that. Now, I will tell you that I cheated a little bit and gave myself a lot more room because it's harder to write with a stylus on this one. So use a separate sheet of paper. You do not have to cram it in there. On the test, I hopefully gave you more room for stuff, but if you need more paper on the test, you can do that or use extra paper. But don't stress about cramming everything into a spot that doesn't fit. I honestly, if I would have used, I guess this one's 9 pages. I don't know if I can make copies of 9 pages for 145 students. So, so I'm sorry that you didn't have a whole lot of room. But again, it's just review. It's to help you make sure you know how to do this. So use a separate sheet of paper if you need to. I've got plenty in class if you need any scrap. Okay, let's get started. What is a solid? So pretty easy because we've done a lot of solids. X. X. Now remember, you can plug that back in and double check your work. Not only that, but remember the final exam is all multiple choice. So if you didn't want to do all that work, if you had like -1, 1, C is 2, or something like that, you could plug in all your answers and find out which one actually makes it true. Multiple choice, so that is totally up to you. But there are questions that you can work backwards like that since it is multiple choice. So for some of you guys, that is a benefit if you remember to do that. Or if you're stuck and you don't know what to do, that's always a good idea to start. So number 2, same thing. This one's a little bit longer, but it's all the same stuff. 4x minus 12. Nothing happened on the left, the right-hand side. Then combine like terms. -4 and 10. Remember, we don't add 4 to both of them. We just put them together. They're on the same side of this equal sign. X minus 12 is equal to -3x minus 39. From here, add the 3x to both sides. Again, I like to cancel my x's or combine my x's first. And again, the reason I canceled and added 3 to cancel that like this is because I went across that equal sign. I went to the other side of that equal. Then add 12, add 12. 9x is equal to -27. 9, you get x is equal to -3. It's supposed to be an equal, not a 2. The biggest thing, one thing is you go through by using your calculator, because I know you can put fractions in your calculator. But the first thing I would do for this one, factor, or sorry, a common multiple. So between 10, 5, and 4, what's a common multiple? Well, 10 would work. That would work for 10 and 5, but 4 doesn't go into 10. 4 doesn't multiply by anything. So I'm going to multiply this whole thing by 20. This is the one where I told you guys, if I were you, I would maybe rewrite it. If you use a bigger number, that's fine. You'll have a lot more bigger numbers in your equation until you finally solve it. And even though it's not a fraction, it still gets multiplied by 20 because everything gets multiplied by 20. And this is where things can cancel. So 20 divided by 10 is 2. So now instead of 20 times x over 10, it's 2 times x. 20 divided we don't have any fractions, so it's just 20 times x is 20x. Over positive 22. Kind of a weird one, but I will tell you, a lot of times when you have fractions in your question, that will make fractions in your answer. Not all the time, but it seems like that's a common theme in this class. Way, or you can make the other way to do it is multiply everything by 4, because that's the least common multiple of just 4. We'll make mistakes with this is that the 4 cancels. So the 3x 3x minus 7 stays the same. That's still 3x minus 7. A lot of people try to multiply that by 4. Add 7 both sides, like normal. 36 plus 42, I think. $42. Excuse me. 3, can't do anything else with that. If you want to put a decimal, you can, but I would just leave it. Whoa, that's crazy. I would just leave it as 43 divided by 3. Multiply everything, so everything by, let's see, again, if you do 6, that doesn't work with the 4. So I would try 12, I think is going to work well. So 3, 12, and 3 over 4. So 12 by 6 is 2. 12, I have 4 times x. 3 times 3 is 9. So add those together, we get equal to 9. Divide both sides by 6. I get x is equal to, if you divide both those by 3 to reduce, you end up with 3 over 2. Okay. So these literal equations, this one, it depends on if we're solving for x or m. But if you look at the top of the page, right below where it says chapter 1 solving, it says solve each for x. So that means even these we're solving for this x. I tried to do that just to make it a little bit more simple. The more straightforward, where we'll say solve this for x on this specific equation. Just like we do before, because we need the x by itself. You can do m plus 16, or you could do if I were you, that's how I would leave it. 3m plus 16 over 2. M. 3m over 2. 3 over 2, or 3m over 2 plus 8. So I actually think this is probably the best answer. But if you want to leave it like that, that's fine. I think the one on the final exam that I have like this, I don't think you can reduce like that. Like, I don't think you need to split it up. If you want to, you can, but I don't think you need to. But again, ultimately, multiple choice. So hopefully you can use the multiple choice options to kind of guide you. A while, we're trying to get the so 2 times pi times h, since you're multiplying all those together, we can divide by all those in the same step. 2 pi h. with v over 2. Then I say, okay, now we need to divide by pi. So divide by pi. V over 2 over pi. V over 2 over pi over h. Do one at a time. Everything else you're dividing just goes in that same denominator. So if you want to divide by 2, that's fine. Oh, don't know what I'm putting 4. Happen again. Over here, when you divide by pi, just put it in the denominator. We're already dividing by 2, so put the pi in with what we're already dividing by. Same thing, we divide by. And number 8, just subtract the 2x. They cancel each other to 11. That is. Remember, when your variables cancel, that's when you need to ask yourself if it's true or false. I should take a moment to talk about that. So that's when it's going to be something weird, and it's either going to be all real numbers or no solution or infinitely solutions. This is false, so this one is no solution. And we just talked about this, label the following as no solution, all real numbers, or one solution. So again, we're just solving these. 5, we have 5x plus 10 is equal to 5x plus 10. Now, some of you guys maybe know the answer already, but again, if I were you, I would keep working just in case. True, so it's all real numbers. Because a lot of people, we got the 4's to cancel, but it's only a special solution if we get the x's to cancel. We still have an x. So this one, when you keep solving, you just get x is equal to 0. X is equal to 0. And lastly, subtract your 3x, you get negative 7 is equal to negative 10. So that's no solution. To multiply or divide by a negative, you need to flip your sign. That's the only thing you have to remember. It's the only thing different. So 3x plus 15 greater than or equal to 3. Subtract 15. 3x is equal to 12. X is equal to 4. Oh, at all what I need. Sorry, when I transferred, I forgot. This is a greater than or less than. So x is greater than or equal to 4. Sorry, not greater than or less. Greater than or equal to 3x is greater than or equal to 12. So x is greater than or equal to 4. Now, number 13, there's other ways to do this, and some of them are a little bit shorter even. But again, in my opinion, I would rather you do it the longer way and make less mistakes. So the longer way is just to make it 2 equations. 4x plus 10 and 4x plus 10 is less than 6. Then you solve each one of these. Subtract 10. Subtract 10 over here. Divide by 4. Divide both sides by 4. Whoops, not negative 4. So x is less than negative 1. So your final answer, if this was short answer, you could leave it like that, but most likely it's going to look like this. Since it's multiple choice. Now, the other way to do it, if you want to do it the other way, that's fine. Hopefully you know what I'm talking about. If not, then I would just stick to that, stick to what you know. But the other way to do it is to solve like normal. Just make sure you do it to all the sides. So if I subtract 10 here, I need to subtract 10 on both sides. And then we divide by 4. You divide by 4 on both sides. Either way, you end up getting the same answer. -2 is less than x is less than -1. With this one is remember they always give you two solutions. So once the absolute value is all by itself, then we put this as a positive and negative. Okay, so I have a positive answer and a negative answer, and then we just solve both of these. So 35 minus 15. Same thing over here. Is equal to -10. Same thing with number 15, moving on to that one. Again, the absolute, so right away we can take 1 is equal to 4. And x plus 7. That's not the sign that changes. The sign that changes is with your answer, what it's equal to. That one, that's not right. Right here, you're supposed to add 4. Sorry, add 7. So that should be 11. That's a good example. Make sure you're not going too quickly, making little mistakes. Make sure you're staying focused. And number 16 for this one, we hopefully realize that this is equal to a negative. An absolute value is always positive. So you'll never have an absolute value that's equal to a negative. So this one is no solutions. Almost a chapter 2 material. Whew. Going to be recorded. Okay, you bought a magazine for $5 and 40 erasers. So we know the magazine is $5 and we don't know about the erasers. I spent a total of $17. How much did each eraser cost? So, magazine plus 4 erasers for E amount of money. So I said E was erasers. I should have specified it's how much money they cost. That gave me a total of $17. Subtract 5, 4E is equal to 12, divide by 4, divide by 4, E is equal to 3. So 3 erasers is how much they were able to buy and only spend at $17. Now, on to the chapter 2 stuff. Whether the following are parallel or perpendicular. Remember, parallel are the same slope. Perpendicular is opposite reciprocal. Remember, opposite talks about going from positive to negative and vice versa. And reciprocal is when you take your fraction and you flip the numerator and denominator. Two parallel. This one, so starts with positive 3 and then it goes to negative 1 over 3, 3 over 1. That's opposite reciprocal, so that's perpendicular. That's probably not spelled right, but that's okay. Number 3 is a little bit of pain because it doesn't tell you what the slope is. One of the formulas you'll have on your sheet is if you have function standard form, the slope is negative a over b. That's right. So for the first 4 over 1, so it's negative 4. My second one, -8 over 2, which is also -4. So same slopes as parallel. And last but not least, we have a positive 2 over 3. That transforms from positive to negative and then to a 3 over 2. So that is perpendicular, opposite reciprocal. That's also not spelled right, but that's okay. Okay, graph the following lines. Don't mess this up, it's slope-intercept form. So my y is 3, it's a -5 over 2. If you want to put the negative to 5, that means it go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 2. Remember, we could also do up 5 over 2 to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. It gets you that same exact line. For this one, the y-intercept is -3. I go up 2 over 3. Sorry, here I lost my train of thought. Then from here, oh, I knew that was that point. Up 2 over 3, up 2 over 3. And this one, the key, you shade this one because it's an inequality. Since y is less than, you shade below. There's a couple of other ways to do that, but that's going to be the easiest. Write the equation. I know the y-intercept is 2, -2 rather, and the slope is, it goes through this point. Looks like this is the other point. So down 1, 2 over 1, 2, 3. So down 2 over to the right 3. So -2 over 3. X minus 2. Okay. Find the slope of line. You'll have this on your formula. At y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So this is x1, y1, and x2, y2. So it's going to be 5 minus -11 over 3 minus. So far, I think I'm catching my mistakes, though. Probably not. We'll see. So I would just use a calculator, but minus the negative. So even when I was just talking about I didn't make any mistakes. This one, I made a small mistake, and here's the thing. I took this one, 5, which is fine. If I started with this one, that's fine, but then my x in the bottom, I also have to start with that -6. You can't do both. So this one I would change. So it's -11 minus 5. That's better. So it's -16 over +9. That is your slope. Find the equation line in point slope form that has a slope of. So point slope form, this is your m, this is your x1 and y1. So it's y minus y1 is 8 is equal to -3 over 4 times x minus -5. I probably done that step. Minus -5. So last thing, go through, and again, it's multiple choice, so maybe you don't have to rewrite it, but that has got to be a plus. So y minus 8 is equal to -3 over 4, x plus 5. Equation from point slope form to slope intercept form. Now this is the one, there's a couple different ways you could do it, but I will highly recommend taking the denominator and distributing that to the left, and the numerator you distribute to the right. So it's 4y plus 20 is equal to 3x minus 60. Sleep for the exam, so this silly stuff doesn't happen to you. 3 times 12 is 36. And now we can solve for y. Get the y by itself, subtract 20. -36 minus 20 is -56. right here. 56 divided by 4 is not 7. 7 keeps popping up. It's not right answer at all. That is 14. Actually, I bet that looked like a 7, and I'm going to say that was the reason. I'm going to say it wasn't my fault, even though I also wrote that 4 like a 7. Find the slope, x-intercept, and y-intercept. So the slope is that formula I told you earlier, is negative a over b. So negative 3 over b is negative 9. So that is 1/3. The next one, remember, finding your x-intercept, you cover up y. So all you have left is 3x is equal to 18. Divide both sides by 3, I get 6. Same thing. Cover up the x if we're finding the y-intercept. So negative 9y is equal to 18. Divide by negative 9. 18 divided by negative 9 is negative 2. So your y-intercept is negative 2. Okay, 25 and 26, we're getting closer. These are the last two, I believe, in chapter 2. Cool. So this is the end of part 1 of the video. Find the equation of a line in point slope form that passes through this point and is parallel to this equation. So my line that I'm making, if it's parallel to this one, it's got the same slope. So the line I am making has a slope of 4. That's all you are using this, the parallel in this part, that's all you're using those for. Once you're done with that, all we really need, once we have the slope and a point, then obviously we can plug it into point slope form. So y 4 times x minus negative 3. So y minus 5 is equal to 4 times x plus 3. Now again, I know some of you guys are going to solve this and put it in slope-intercept form. That's great, but I asked for it in point-slope form. I'm trying to give you guys a little bit of help with that. Find the equation line in point-slope form passes through that is perpendicular. So perpendicular is the opposite reciprocal. So my slope is the opposite and the reciprocal. But now you just plug it into point-slope form. Y minus, y1 is negative 4. We have 3 over 2 times x minus 10. So minus negative is plus. So that should be your answer. All right, like I said, I'm going to try to keep these. I mean, I would say short and sweet, but that one was not very short and certainly not sweet. But I'll put out another video that will do the next 2 chapters, so 3 and 4. Then I'll put out a third video on chapter 5 and chapter 6. So if you need help with those, obviously make sure you watch those as well.